I would like to tell you a story. Hi. Well, it was my 13th birthday in up north, Petoskey, Michigan. I was swimming in Lake Michigan, and everybody wasn't willing to go out there in the waves. Although it was a beautiful day, nobody wanted to go out there because the waves were just so crazy. They were just like huge, and I'd never seen them that big in Lake Michigan. Personally, I was just a young man, 13, and I just being the way that I was so much, particularly when I was younger, I just looked at it as like an opportunity to enjoy some great fun and went out there in that, crazy weather. And there was this other boy who I didn't know that parallel to me about, I would say 30, 25 yards away from me, parallel, went into the water when I went in the water, like he was following me. And I remember I just kept on going into the waves and swimming hard as I could. And I remember I looked back and I was like way further than I thought I should be. And I started realizing that I was getting pulled under. And I had to actually swim with the current because it was too much to fight. And I was already really far out, like really far away from shore. And I already just like spent like a lot of energy. And I didn't think I was that far though. And the waves kept on like rolling. I had a hard time seeing which way the shore was at one point, and the current was just getting stronger, and I had to go with it. And so I decided to go with the current and dive down deep into the floor of the sea and kick myself off the ground, and so I could get enough velocity, get my head above the water. And I kept on doing this process for a long time. There was a sandbar that went out like miles on this shore where I was. Like, it was off the shore, but there's a sandbar, sandbar is like where there's like sand built up. Like, even though you might be a mile or two out in the middle of the lake, it might be only be, 15, 20 feet, you know what I mean? Which is still deep. But, anyway, I had to like keep doing this process through this sandbar method and like going with the current and pushing my feet off the ground and getting enough air with one breath, because I couldn't fight it that much more than just getting a breath, my head above water. I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time talking right now. And then I knew I was gonna like die. I couldn't keep doing it. And I was in the swim team at the time too, and I just like I just thought I could go do anything, and go through anything. And there was so many levels of where I thought I couldn't go any further, and I just kept on going. I just never quit, and I didn't want to die. And I remember that the sandbar was getting too deep, and this method that I was using wasn't going to be enough for me to push myself off the ground and get enough velocity to swim with against the current and get my head above water. I just knew that it was only going to get harder, and it was getting harder, and it was it. And I cried out to God that last time, because I knew it was the last time. I used my last breath, and I was like, Lord. And I remember that I wasn't being pulled under anymore. But I couldn't hardly see which way shore was because these rolling waves were just like big hills, like mountains, and I was so tired, and I finally could see the shore for a second, and it was so far away. Oh my God, honey, it was so far away. It was like miles and miles, and I was like, I was so tired, and I already went past so many levels, and when I thought I was not going to make it, there was just like this muscle-bound man came wearing red shorts, and he had black hair. And I remember he asked me if I needed help, and I said, yes, please help me. And he's like, okay, I'm going to go get some help. And he like left, and I thought, there's no way, stop. I won't be able to make it back. I didn't even say that, but I thought to myself, there's no way that I could make it by the time that he would go get help. It was like not rational at all. And then there's just like a sudden moment where I couldn't see him anymore, and then this other guy came in black shorts, and this guy wasn't muscular. He was old and like gray hair, and he said to me, do not touch me. And I thought to myself, okay, I'd rather die than touch that man so that I could get a break, because I was so tired. I told myself I'd rather do that. I'd rather just die than, take out an old man so that I could breathe. And, well, in that instant, in that moment, all of a sudden, this crazy thing happened where he started extending his hands, like, toward me, like a swimming way, but, like, toward me. And I remember feeling, like, this warmth that came over me, and I started just trusting it. And before I knew it, and I saw him do it, and it was like working, and I just like went with it. And before I knew it, I was right there at the shore. And I remember looking over my left shoulder and my right shoulder to see where he went. He didn't say, hey, where's your dad? Where's your mom? Are you okay? He wasn't there.